Today on Jesse Duplantis Ministries.
Behold, this dreamer cometh. Now, if you start dreaming and believing God today, you'll have every dream you'll ever believe in. Some people won't have the guts to tell you that. If you got your Bibles, I'd like you to turn with me to the book of Genesis, chapter 37. And I want every one of you men to listen to me, and I'm really excited about it. And I said it earlier, I'm gonna say it again. There's nothing you can't do. Now, the reason why a lot of people can't do some things, they mix something called faith and time. Never mix faith and time, because time will become your enemy. And they'll say, you see, God didn't really want to do that. I may have missed God, and then you back off. But faith is always in the now, and most people put it in the future. It has the ability to create a future, but it wasn't made for the future, it was made for the now. Because Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is, not now faith might be, I don't know. And the church world don't preach now faith is, they preach is faith now. See, they reverse it, and they shouldn't reverse it. And I've learned something about God that's so gracious and wonderful. He said, I'll do things before you ask. And in Isaiah chapter 65, verse 24, he said, before you ask, I will answer. And it's amazing to me that people wonder how I do what I do. And I appreciate you saying that. I've never charged anybody. I never charged expenses. I fly all over the world. And the reason why, because in 1978, God gave me a statement that literally changed my life. He said, I didn't ask you to pay for it. I asked you to believe for it. But when he said that, it took the pressure off. All I got to do is believe. And then all I have to do is receive as the Lord directs and guides. And it's such a blessing. And don't complicate that, see? You got to accept that as a child. Children are born believers until you teach them the doubt. So don't do that. And you're not God's adult, you're God's children. Yeah, you grow to the fullness of the stature of Christ, but you're still God's child. My daughter, she's on vacation right now in the Turks Caicos, wherever that's at there in the Caribbean. And she said, boy, Dad, can you believe you got a daughter 53 years old? I said, yeah, I was there when you was born. I paid for you. I got you out of the hospital. And she just can't get over that, you know what I'm saying? And my granddaughter, I only have one daughter and one granddaughter. Why did y'all have more kids? We didn't have time. I'm saying we didn't have time. I was traveling. I've been traveling most of my adult life since I'm 18 years old. And, just traveling all the time. And God has been so good and gracious. And so I'm 75, and the other day my granddaughter corrected me. She said, no, you're 75 and a half. You know how teenagers are, that kind of stuff. There's a statement in the Bible I'm about ready to read. I think it's one of the most important statements for men, women, Christian people. Because there's always somebody saying you can't. There's always somebody saying they're jealous and envy. They just get angry. And why would they be angry when you can have what you say? Mark 11:23-24 says you can have what you say. If you would say, not God, you would say to that mountain. Now you ought to know something about mountains around here. Be thou removed. Think about if you could kick one of these mountains out. I believe you'd get Colorado's attention. Wouldn't you think so? Well, let me help you. You can. Okay, I lost this crowd. Let me go over here. You see, that's impossible. That's why I said it. God gave me another statement. Believe the unbelievable, receive the impossible, because it's doable. See, and what has happened in my life, I've made a lot of money. I'm going to say that first to some of you men that don't know me. I made a lot of money as a very young man, a lot of money. I mean, I ain't talking about a few dollars, a lot of money. In that time, I could have financed this back in them days. I worked on the same circuit as Led Zeppelin, Grand Funk, Kiss, girls screaming. That was your grandma screaming. with her little mini skirt on, way back when. And of course, when I got born again, I thought you had to be poor because I was raised Catholic. We take a vow of poverty, So we gave all that money away. And of course, the church didn't like me because my hair was too long, but they sure liked that money. And we sent it all over the world and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, God was doing so gracious. I've always been a dreamer. Brother Copeland calls me a visionary. He said, Jesse's a vision specialist. And I thank him for that. He said, I'm a faith specialist. Jesse, you're a vision specialist. And I am, because you see, if you don't have one, you're not going to make it. Even if you're a sinner, you're not going to make it. People perish for lack of a vision. There was a boy, he was a good kid, and his name was Joseph. Now, one thing you can't do if you got a bunch of boys is show favoritism. But Jacob made a mistake because Joseph was born of Rachel and Benjamin. Now, his other boys, I mean, he sent them to do the work, but he just favored Joseph. And let me just say that you love your children the same, but sometimes there's one kid that just seems better. Am I right in that? How many of y'all have more than one child? I mean, you're going to love them all the same, but there's one that is special. Don't give you no hassle, and all that kind of stuff. Now, you still love them the same, but it's just wonderful. You ain't got to worry about this one or that one. And my dad, I drank a lot. He used to leave me pass out in the hedges. And I went to school, used to take a thermos bottle, and they thought I was drinking Kool-Aid, and it was full of sloe gin. I was drinking that in school. They thought, my Lord, and you get a buzz on like crazy, I've done some very awful things. Thank God that I got born again. Well, Joseph, when God would tell him something, you got to understand, sometimes God tells you to do some things. It's best not to tell some people because they're not there to receive it. And I want to go to Genesis chapter 37. Are you there yet? I like the old King James Version because it's so poetical. It's like one man, it's the one that Moses preached out of and all that kind of stuff. And Joseph was a dreamer, and he had dreams. So he thought everybody would listen to the dream that God gave him. And of course, the brothers said, who you think you are? We're going to bow down to you? So that shows envy and jealousy right there. Then he has another great dream, and he goes tells his daddy. And Jacob gets mad. And I want to read this. Verse 9, this is Jacob when he's telling Jacob. He dreamed yet another dream and told it to his brother and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee in the earth? And his brother envied him, but his father observed the saying. He didn't agree with it, but he observed it. Now, Jacob told Joseph, you know the whole story. Jacob told Joseph to go find out what his other brothers are doing. And watch this wonderful statement, which I think is just so glorious. And I want to start with verse 16. He said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. That's not Dothan, Alabama. That's in the Middle East. And when they saw him afar off, watch this now, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Now, verse 19 is where I want to get to it. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. I hope they say that about me. Dreaming. You had a dream that you would build Charis. What is your dream, men? Where do you want to go? Now, to do that, you have to learn some things about yourself. You have to learn to harden yourself against yourself. That doesn't make any sense. But you see, sometimes yourself will get in front of yourself and mess you up. I've had many opportunities to fail. I don't take any. When I got born again, I was so enamored by God that I didn't want to just pray. I developed conversation with the Lord. Hello, Jesus. Hi, Jesse. I mean, praying is good, but it's usually asking God for something. Jesus, would you help me here? And nothing wrong with that, don't misunderstand. But I wanted to know this God instead of just believe this God. So I began to develop a conversation with the Lord. And I've had great conversation with the Father God, great conversation with Jesus, and great conversation with the Holy Spirit. Not too long ago, I said, Holy Spirit, why don't you just talk a while and I'll listen to what you say? Yeah, and I could hear it physically in my ear. Kathy knew something was going on in my study. Yeah, what I would just listen to what he said. He said, I only say what my father said. In other words, he said, I only say what he hears. So it was coming directly from the throne of God. So I want to deal with that. Behold, this dreamer coming. Now, if you start dreaming and believing God today, you'll have every dream you'll ever believe in. Some people won't have the guts to tell you that. Well, suppose it don't work. I don't have that. I don't have the suppose it don't work syndrome. Yeah, but I don't have that neither. Yeah, but I tried that. I didn't do that neither. I didn't try to come. I came. People say, how come you don't charge people? Don't want to. I've spent about $221 million just in things that other churches should have paid for in my ministry over the years. You know, they keep that all. And I said, to me, that's just a seed. Now, I receive an offering, but not to meet my needs, because God said he supply my need. So I don't deal with that. I do a project or something like that because he gives me what I want. So if you're taking notes, write this down. And I want you to think about, behold, this dreamer coming. Write this down, and then we'll talk a little bit about this. Until you see tomorrow, you will never understand today. Until you see tomorrow, you will never understand today. See, people say, why this man never gets depressed? I don't have time. Discouraged, despondent, broke, busted. I'm not bragging. See, he bragging. No, I'm not bragging. But I have total confidence in the Christ that's in me. Not just on me or around me, but in me. See, so let me say it again and write it down. Until you see tomorrow, you will never understand today. So in other words, I'm always looking 10 years ahead. Now I'm 75 years old. Now I have a beautiful jet. That's the one that if you heard about 6, 7 years, the whole world was trying to kill me over that. You got 4 jets and, well, I not at one time, but I've owned 4 jets, but not at one time. Now don't get mad at me because you probably spent more on your church than I did on the first jet I bought. Okay, boy, this is a tough crowd. Listen to that. Yeah, no, but I'm not there yet. You will be. I think personally, I'll just say, I think Andrew needs a jet. Now, people can fly him all over the place, but he's got to go here, he's got to go there, and just be back. I'm going to be back home tonight. I have to. There's no other choice in the matter. You know, because Kathy wants me to preach that women's conference. I said, well, get a woman. She said, how come you preach for everybody else, but you don't preach for me? Just forget what I just said. Until you see tomorrow, you will never understand today. So people say, you don't worry, I don't have time for that. Because I seen tomorrow, so I know what today is going to do. You see, my theme this year is create your world and walk in it. You see, but when you create your own world, you know what's coming and you know what's going. Satan cannot walk in my world. He stumbles. He reminds me of President Biden when he's walking on the beach. Because my foundation makes Satan stumble. And he stumbles, and guess where he stumbles to? My feet. Because he's under your feet. Are you seeing that? Now, the reason why I know it's going to work, because I've seen tomorrow. That's why I understand today. See, you were created to be sustained by having a vision of something bigger than just today. He says, so I know. So watch this. I got this beautiful plane, and I flew it here. I can go anywhere in the world now, one stop. And that's what I wanted it for, not to show off. I don't know how to fly. I don't want to learn how to fly. Brother Copeland loves me. He gets mad at me. He said, don't you want to learn how to fly? I've been preaching with him almost 35 years. I said, no, I want to learn how to land. I'm not interested in flying. But if them boys pass out, I want to learn how to land. And he just laughs about that. It ain't funny. You see what I'm saying? So when you understand you were created to be sustained by having a vision of something bigger than just today. Because you see, you've been created, you have God's DNA in you. If you want to know what God's looks like, look at me. Oh, y'all didn't get that, did you? Watch this. I'm created in his image. So are you. I'm created in his likeness, which means I have his character. And if I don't accept it, then you become a character. Do you understand that? Now, you're not going to get this in the church world. People say, don't get crazy with this. That's what you need to do, is believe this without a shadow of a doubt. Because there's always somebody saying you can't, but God said I could. See, that's a dreamer. I want people to say about you after this man's advance, my God, look at this dreamer, he's coming. What are you believing for? And whether it's spiritual, physical, or financial. It don't make no difference to God. I had a guy tell me the other day, I was in California. I started out in Whittier, California, preaching with, y'all know Jason Lozano, Freedom Church? Got a church of about 10,000. And the oldest one is 24. It's an amazing church. And then I went over to Sacramento, California, preached there. Then I flew over to Hawaii, and I did a tour in Hawaii, which I've been doing for many, many years, and all the islands and things of that nature. And then I flew back here, and because I had to do television, and they said, you got to go to Andrews, and I flew to Andrews, and I'm coming, and then preached for Kathy, and then here we go again. You know, and it's happening all the time. Do you think you'll ever slow down? Don't think so. Why? Why have you never been sick? Satan can't hit a moving target. And I accept what I've heard angels say, every germ that touches my body dies instantly. I've never forgot that. So when something tries to attach me, I use Andrew's voice. I want to tell you, you're going to die instantly. Now you laugh, but it works. As long as it works, that's okay with me. You see, vision requires faith. And it also makes life more enjoyable. So what I did, I bought, and I flew it here. You ought to have seen it when I got to the airport. They said, my God, look at this thing. Is it a big, not bragging, it's a big, yeah. I don't mean that pridefully, you know. How much did it cost to fly? I don't know. He didn't ask me to pay for it. He asked me to believe for it. See, and when you understand that, not here. You see, where God resides, Christ in you, on you. And it's just such a blessing. So I said, when I'm in Sacramento, this man walked up to me, and I hadn't seen him in a long time from San Francisco. And I preached in his church many, many years ago. He's retired now. And he turned it over and he said, man, how you doing, Jesse? I said, boy, I hadn't seen you in a long time. How you doing? Now, please, I'm not trying to be arrogant or cocky or anything of that nature. He said, the pastor that took over my church said he gave you the biggest offering you ever had. I said, he did. What did he say? He said he gave you $100,000. And I said, you know, that's right, but that's not my biggest offering. You want to know what my biggest offering ever was? How many of y'all want to know my biggest offering? $6 billion. I had it on the table. I had it at Smith & Lewinsky's on the table at the steakhouse in Manhattan to build 14 satellites, 7 low orbit and 7 high orbit. I was so excited, my leg was shaking underneath the table. And God told me to get up and walk away. Oh, Jesus, no, we don't want to walk away. Jesus, come here. On the table, sign, run it like you want. But I made a stipulation that they didn't like, that you cannot be sold. Because I know how these guys think, these hedge fund operators. You're dealing with trillions of dollars here. See, they'll build that thing up to $80, $90 billion, then they hit what's called the golden parachute. Like a Netflix or something like that. Get it up high, and then they sell it out, and they're on to the next endeavor. No, I wanted it so no one could ever take the gospel off the air. See, people say, oh, that can't happen. Well, it happened. It's happening now. See, and it's amazing how they can just shut you down. But you see, but they shouldn't allow it. And I want every preacher I know to be on there for free. People say, it's unbelievable. No, it's not. Everyone that preaches on the Victory Channel that you see under Kenneth Copeland's ministry does not pay a dime to, don't have to, it's free. Only person I've ever known did that. Well, and I mean, I'm on his board, so I know everything going on. And one time I told him, I said, you know, Kenneth, you might want to rethink that. You don't tell that to Kenneth Copeland. He looked at me, he said, what's the matter? You trying to take away my seat? No. I ain't trying to take away your seat. It's not the issue. But see, you got to believe in something. And since you have a choice, now I personally believe this, some of you may not. I believe in the 100-fold. Because he says some 30, some 60, and some 100. Well, I'm part of the sum. So since I got a choice, why not believe in the 100-fold? Now, I wish everything was free, but it's not, and that's okay. But I'm going to complete my destiny and reach my destination. I walked away. I was mad at God. I said, man, you made me a dreamer. You gave me the money. It's there. He said, you mad? I went, yeah. You know how hard it is to believe in something like that? Be called a heretic, crazy, nuts. People stop wanting to preach. They don't want you to preach for it because that's crazy. Well, the first thing I'd have done on the $6 billion is take $600 million of the tithe and give it away. Well, yeah, I'm a tither. Why? Because I want to be. I'm not Moses' seed. My name wasn't on the 10 Commandments when he wrote it. You're not Moses' seed. You're Abraham's seed. What did he do? Before the law. See, so when you understand that vision requires faith, and it also makes life more enjoyable. See, dreams and visions keep you prepared. Satan can't sneak up on you because you are ahead of him all the time. So what I did the other day, and Kathy couldn't believe it, I just got this plane. It's gorgeous. You ought to see this thing. I said, boys, fly me over to Little Rock. I'm going to the Salt Falcon. This plane is not even made yet. I want to see this Falcon 10. This thing is huge. Kathy said, we just got this. I said, Kathy, I'm 10 years ahead. Why? To stimulate your vision. So if you believe in to do something, get around somebody that's doing that and let it stimulate you. If you want to be a great businessman, then get around people that do business well. See, I remember I wanted to be debt-free on all my television. So the first thing I said, who I know of is debt-free on television. I began to find people, even though they might have been on just a station or two. Are you debt-free? I want to know about that. And when I went on completely debt-free. All my ministry, all my television, all the years, and I'm not bragging about that, was always paid 1 year in advance. Because that's what I was believing for. Since I had an opportunity to believe, listen to me, man, I'm trying to help you here. If I had opportunity to believe, well, why not believe? Well, why do you have to wait to get it? Why don't you just believe it and have it before you do it? Will we try? No. Forget about the trying. This is not a trying situation. You see what I'm saying? When you understand what God will do, if you're just willing to give them that job. See, that's what I mean. And that's what Joseph said. He was thinking, God, man, I got to tell everybody about this dream. Some people can't handle your vision. So they're going to criticize. That's okay. You know, and I don't get mad at them. And it would take a lot for me to get mad at a preacher that messes up anymore. They call me a general. Man, I said it the other day. A person asked me about, what do you think about that Daystar thing? And I said, I don't think about it at all. I pray about it. Because if you think about it, you're going to take sides. That ain't your business. That's God's business. Let God handle that. And that night, I said that at the ministers' conference. I didn't know Joni Lamb and Doug was in the sitting. I didn't see them. They called me and they said, boy, I appreciate you saying that. I said, I'm not here to hurt nobody. I ain't taking sides. I'll nail the devil to the wall. But people, I'm going to leave alone and let God handle those things. You see, when you understand that, yeah, you can applaud on that because that's called mercy and grace. But if you take sides of something, you could take the wrong side. That's not my job to do that. My job is to believe this. See, when you know what you are pursuing and when you know what is coming, your days become faster and easier. Let me give you a prime example. When I bought this plane, I didn't know what it would take to operate this plane. This is the biggest one I've ever had. Worth a lot of money. Heavy. So I had a meeting with my aviation staff and my mechanics. I got a full aviation crew, 3 mechanics, pilots, the whole ball of wax. And I said, and I sat down, and Kathy was with me, and I said, now, I want to know, what is it going to take for me to receive this plane? They said, well, you're going to need a different tug. That's the thing that pushes it in and out. You're going to need one that can push at least a 737 BBJ. I said, how much is that? They said, that's about $115,000. They all call me boss, we need 2 of them. I said, okay. So that's $230,000. I didn't know I had need. I said, is there anything else? Well, you need a hydraulic mule. I said, can we find a mule that's alive instead of being hydraulic? I think it'd be cheaper. How much is that? That's about $180,000. 230, 330, 80, 900. Okay, man, now we're way over 300 something. Anything else? Well, we actually, and by the time they finished talking now, we're looking at $780,000 just to be able to move the plane to whatever. And they said, so what do you want to do? I said, buy it. They went, what? I said, buy it. Order it today. Now watch this. It was 10 minutes to 12. Let me read the point so you'll understand this. When you know what you are pursuing and when you know what is coming, your days become faster and easier. I'm going to help you in whatever thing you want to believe God for. Watch this. So it was 10 to 12. I said, well, Kathy, no, let's go on home. And I live about maybe 12 minutes away from the airport and all that kind of stuff. And while I was there, FedEx called, I don't know how they got that number at the aviation, but they did. And they said, is Mr. Jesse there? Yeah, now they come to my offices all the time, just like, bringing something. And they said, listen, you have a package that's coming in. We were supposed to deliver it Monday, but you got it today. It's Thursday now. And if you want Fritz to come get it, normally we don't do that. We got to wait till Monday. But we know you and you know us. Have Fritz come get it and we'll just give it to him. I said, well, what is it? They said, we don't know. We don't open up your packages. I said, well, yeah, I never thought of it like that. I said, okay. I didn't know what it was. Had no idea. So I called Fritz and Fritz said, I'll go get it, boss. So they run over there and they go get it. And by the time I got home, Fritz is in my yard waiting on me. And it's a FedEx envelope. So I open it up and there's another envelope in the FedEx envelope. I don't know what it is. I looked at it, what is it? I opened it up and inside that small envelope was a check for $1 million. I went, my God, look at this. And I thought, God, all I needed was $780,000. Why'd you give me $1 million? He said, I'm more than enough. Give the Lord a hand clap of that. I'm more than enough. See, I said, Kathy, let me look at that FedEx. When did they mail that? They mailed it before I needed it. Isaiah 65:24. Before you ask, I will answer. That was mailed before I ever knew I needed that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. I hope they call you a dreamer because God will set things up for you you never thought possible. Spiritual, physical, and financial. You're not going to shake him up with money. It don't make no difference. You can't break him. He's El Shaddai, not El Cheapo. We all know that. He will do whatever you're willing to believe for. We have a life-changing partner offer for you entitled, God is Faithful, Why Aren't You? That may sound a little hard, but the truth is so many people judge God's faithfulness by their own. Listen, Jesus always does what he says, and we should too. This message will challenge you and transform every area of your life. How do I get it? Go to JDM.org and get your copy today. Do it. Do you know that every born-again believer has a God-given right to receive overwhelming blessings from God? In my book, Overwhelmed, you'll be challenged to say no to limited thinking by understanding all that belongs to you.
It's your birthright to experience overwhelming favor in every area of your life. Order your physical copy or digital download for your donation of $5 or more at JDM.org.
It's time to be overwhelmed in a good way by God's power. Get your copy and be blessed. We want to thank all our JDM partners who help us spread the gospel to a lost and hurting world.
Yes, we're so grateful to God for sending amazing people like you to join our mission of global evangelism.
Every seed sown to the ministry enables us to proclaim God's life-changing love to the nations.
Yes, and if you're not a partner, we invite you to be a part of our vision.
With you by our side, we can reach more people and change more lives, one soul at a time. There is power in prayer. Jesus says, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Need a prayer partner? Let's agree together in faith.
Thank you for watching today. For more information about Jesse Duplantis Ministries, go to jdm.org.